Have you ever listened to Tool and found yourself wondering about the deeper meaning behind their songs? In this video, we're going to explore Tool's iconic second album, Ænima, uncovering not just the surface-level themes, but also delving into the profound messages and hidden truths the album presents. Join us as we decode the symbolism and reveal the deeper essence of this groundbreaking work. Tool's album Ænima is a genre-defying masterpiece, blending elements of progressive metal, alternative, and psychedelic rock into a cohesive yet complex sound. The album showcases the band's signature style, intricate time signatures, heavy riffs, and thought-provoking lyrics. Standout tracks like the explosive Stinkfist, the emotionally charged Eulogy, and the introspective 46 and 2 highlight Tool's ability to craft music that is both sonically powerful and philosophically deep. The album's title, Ænima, is a clever play on words, merging two distinct concepts, Ænima and Ænema, by incorporating the AE glyph. The term Ænima, as introduced by Carl Jung, refers to the unconscious feminine aspect within men, representing an essential part of the psyche that balances the more conscious, rational, and masculine qualities. It is an archetypal figure that embodies emotions, intuition, and the deeper, more instinctive side of the psyche, often portrayed in dreams, fantasies, and projections. In Jungian psychology, integrating the Ænima is essential for psychological wholeness and achieving a harmonious balance between the conscious and unconscious self. The inclusion of the E in the title introduces the concept of an enema, a purging or cleansing process, adding a layer of meaning to the album's title. This duality, where the Ænima represents the internal feminine awakening and the enema symbolizes purification and release, aligns with the album's themes of spiritual transformation, self-discovery, and psychological rebirth, where the individual must confront and integrate hidden aspects of the self to achieve greater wholeness and clarity. Now let's dive deep into each track of Ænima. Every song is packed with layers of meaning, intricate musicality, and emotional depth. In this journey, we'll break down the lyrics, the music, and the underlying messages, uncovering how each track contributes to the album's overall themes. Whether you're a longtime fan or new to Tool, you'll gain a deeper understanding of the powerful, transformative experience Ænima offers. So let's explore the album and see what insights we can uncover. Ænima's opening track, Stinkfist, delves deep into the themes of existential dissatisfaction, overstimulation, and the search for meaning in a world that increasingly numbs and desensitizes its inhabitants. The song paints a picture of feeling trapped in a cycle of unfulfilled desires where nothing seems to bring true satisfaction. The repeated refrain, "nothing seems to satisfy," speaks to the frustration of pursuing fleeting pleasures, always seeking something that will offer genuine fulfillment, but finding only temporary relief. The imagery in the song, specifically the phrases "finger deep within the borderline" and "knuckle deep inside the borderline," can be understood both literally, as a reference to the act of fisting, and metaphorically, as a depiction of the search for something real in a world that feels increasingly artificial. The borderline in this context symbolizes the edge between comfort and discomfort, pleasure and pain, and the narrator's struggle to feel something beyond the superficial layers of life. It represents the effort to push past boundaries, to break through the numbness, and to confront a deeper sense of self and existence. The progression from finger to knuckle, elbow and shoulder deep creates a striking, almost grotesque visual metaphor that underscores the escalating desperation to feel something, anything, by resorting to increasingly extreme and invasive means. This imagery conveys the notion of becoming so numb or desensitized by the superficiality of existence that one feels compelled to dig deeper and deeper into more violent, extreme experiences to awaken a sense of sensation or meaning. However, this progression also serves as a symbolic journey of introspection, where the deepening immersion reflects the internal quest for truth, self-understanding, and existential clarity. The physical depth described in the song represents not only the extreme measures one may take to escape numbness, but also the emotional and psychological depths one must explore to confront hidden truths and uncover profound meaning within the self. Thus, it becomes a dual metaphor, both an outward push for sensory stimulation and a symbolic plunge into the psyche's darker, unexamined realms in search of meaning and authenticity. At its core, Stinkfist highlights the tension between a longing for authentic connection and the realization that even intimacy can feel empty when it's rooted in superficial or physical experiences. The song critiques the numbing effect of modern distractions, where deeper emotional connections are often overshadowed by external stimuli. Stinkfist portrays the painful struggle of searching for emotional depth in a world that frequently prioritizes shallow pleasure, revealing the disillusionment with a society that is more interested in overstimulation than genuine human connection. The song is a raw exploration of the lengths one must go to in order to find meaning and truth in an increasingly disconnected world. The second track, Eulogy, is a song that critiques blind hero worship, the inconsistencies in people's beliefs and actions, and the illusion of martyrdom. The lyrics describe someone who is outspoken and loud, who stands above others and claims to have a grand purpose or message yet ultimately offers nothing of substance. The person is celebrated and idolized, but their words and actions are hollow, marked by a sense of ego and self-righteousness. The repeated refrain, "He had a lot to say, he had a lot of nothing to say," underscores the emptiness behind the grandiose statements of the figure in question, revealing that despite their loud presence, they fail to offer meaningful change or insight. The song suggests that people often fall into the trap of worshipping figures of authority or influence, looking to them for salvation or guidance, but this worship is ultimately empty and rooted in illusion. The eulogy in the song's title refers not only to the literal death of the figure, but also to the death of their ideals or false sense of righteousness. It critiques those who claim to sacrifice themselves for others or for a cause, questioning the sincerity behind their actions. The line, "You've claimed all this time that you would die for me. Why then are you so surprised when you hear your own eulogy?" suggests that people who live with false claims of martyrdom or self-sacrifice often fail to see the truth about themselves until it's too late. The song calls attention to the contradiction between what people say and what they truly do, urging listeners to break free from the blind worship of figures who may be manipulative or self-serving. The references to crucifixion and martyrdom, particularly with the line, "To ascend you must die, you must be crucified for our sins and our lies," critiques the manipulation of concepts like sacrifice, pointing out how these ideas can be twisted for power and control, and the ways in which society elevates individuals to a divine or savior-like status, often without understanding the true meaning behind their actions. The references to crucifixion and martyrdom in the song are about exposing the hypocrisy of those who claim to die for a cause or for others, but are ultimately self-serving or empty in their intentions. The song isn't so much a critique of Jesus as a figure, but rather of the human tendency to turn concepts of sacrifice, martyrdom, and saviorhood into empty symbols that people can manipulate or worship, without fully engaging with the deeper, more meaningful aspects of those ideas. It questions whether the glorification of martyrdom and self-sacrifice is truly about serving others, or if it's often about ego, manipulation, and power. In conclusion, Eulogy is a powerful catharsis, brimming with frustration, anger, and disillusionment. The song's intense emotional depth and intricate musical arrangement make it one of Ænema's most profound tracks. It captures the journey of confronting and dismantling false idols, ultimately guiding the listener towards self-empowerment and personal awakening. H is a deeply personal and introspective track that explores the internal conflict of breaking free from the cycle of abuse and reconciling with one's own emotional wounds. The song's title, H, refers to Maynard's son, Devo H, and serves as a poignant reflection on fatherhood, legacy, and the potential for healing. In the song, Maynard's past self, symbolized by the snake, tempts him to distance himself from his child, echoing the dynamics with his own father figures. Maynard's parents divorced when he was 4, and his dad moved out of state and he only saw him about once a year. His mother remarried, bringing him into an intolerant and unworldly household where his intelligence and creative expression were stifled. However, as the narrative unfolds, Maynard realizes that he has the power to change this pattern, to break the cycle, and not pass on the same toxic tendencies. The song can be understood as a dialogue between three characters: the present person, Maynard, his past, embodied by the abusive relationship with his stepfather, and his future, represented by the potential to create a loving, nurturing relationship with his son. The angel and devil analogy mentioned by Maynard in a live show serves as a backdrop to this internal struggle, where both sides are not necessarily good or evil, but reflect different paths based on past experiences. It's about the responsibility of making choices for one's own life and future, with the realization that healing and vulnerability are the keys to breaking the cycle. Lyrically, H channels themes of self-discovery, redemption, and emotional growth, offering a cathartic release from the pain of past abuse. It's a powerful meditation on the tension between the scars of the past and the hope for a better future, symbolized by Maynard's desire to open his heart and build a loving relationship with his son. H is a profound exploration of generational trauma and the potential for healing through conscious, intentional change. Useful Idiot is a short yet multi-layered track that cleverly critiques societal complacency and the mindless repetition of information. The song's sound mimics the monotonous looping noise of a vinyl record nearing its end, with the needle bumping against the groove in a continuous mechanical loop. Positioned as the last track of side A of the vinyl edition, the song plays a prank on the listener, creating the illusion that the album has ended, when in fact, the track is still ongoing. The title itself, Useful Idiot, symbolizes a world where individuals mindlessly repeat the narratives fed to them like broken records, without truly questioning or understanding the content. In this context, the term useful idiot refers to those who unwittingly support systems that exploit them. This track serves as both a critical commentary on societal conditioning and a useful transition, preparing the listener for one of the most powerful and introspective tracks on the album, 46 and 2. 46 and 2 delves into the themes of self-discovery, personal transformation, and the evolution of human consciousness. The song's lyrics depict a journey of confronting past trauma and old ingrained behaviors, symbolized by the shadow, and stepping into a more enlightened, authentic self. Maynard reflects on confronting his own insecurities and delusions, expressing a deep desire to evolve and break free from patterns of self-doubt and past emotional scars. The song is not just about personal growth, but also about the tension between the comfort of the past and the push for change, illustrating the internal struggle of letting go of old limitations to make room for a more evolved version of oneself. The reference to 46 and 2 is widely interpreted as a metaphor for transcending the current state of consciousness, symbolized by the 46 chromosomes we possess. The first stage, with 44 chromosomes, represents primitive beings, such as the Aborigines of Australia, who perceive no distinction between themselves and the world around them, experiencing a collective consciousness. The second stage, with 46 chromosomes, represents humanity as we are now, chaotic, disharmonious, and existing in a state of imbalance. The third stage, symbolized by 48 chromosomes, or 46 and 2, with 2 referring to the sex chromosomes, represents the next phase of human evolution, a higher, enlightened consciousness that we are destined to reach. This idea suggests the potential for humanity to evolve beyond its current state, shedding old layers and embracing a more enlightened version of existence. Integral to the song's message is the recurring reference of the shadow, a concept rooted in Carl Jung's psychological theories. The shadow represents the unconscious, repressed parts of the psyche that we often avoid or deny. Jung believed that for true personal growth, individuals must integrate both the conscious and unconscious aspects of the self. This is also where the concept of the Ænima, the feminine personality traits that are often repressed into the unconscious of males as referenced in the album title Ænima, comes into play. In the song, the lyrics, "In my shadow, change is coming through my shadow," reflect the difficult, often painful process of confronting these hidden aspects of oneself. But this confrontation, symbolized by the act of shedding skin and picking scabs, represents healing and growth. The song suggests that by embracing the shadow and allowing these repressed parts to surface, we can begin to heal old wounds and evolve into a more integrated and whole version of ourselves. The lyrics, "Join in my child, my shadows closer to meaning," signify the journey of personal growth and transformation. There's an invitation to embrace a simpler, more authentic version of oneself, a return to innocence and purity before the complexities of life and ego took hold. This call to join in and seek meaning from the shadow represents the beginning of transformation, as the path to enlightenment becomes clearer. The ending lyrics of 46 and 2 represent the final steps in the transformative journey towards self-awareness and spiritual evolution. As the narrator embraces their shadow and the changes it brings, they symbolically shed old layers of self-deception and fear, softening the armor that once protected them but also kept them from evolving. Stepping through my shadow signifies the courageous act of facing and integrating the repressed parts of oneself, ultimately clearing the way for personal growth. The song closes with the idea that true transformation requires both embracing our inner darkness and trusting the process of evolution, as the narrator moves forward into a more enlightened and unified self. Ultimately, 46 and 2 is a powerful anthem on self-exploration, the struggle of confronting one's inner darkness, and the process of transcending those limitations to evolve into a higher state of consciousness. The Message to Harry Manback track is a personal and darkly humorous track that has its roots in an incident involving Maynard and his old friend Francesco. According to Maynard, Francesco was someone who had been living with him and his roommate Jerry, but was eventually kicked out for stealing from Jerry. After being kicked out, Francesco left an angry and threatening message on their answering machine, which is the basis for the track's spoken word segment. Maynard, finding humor in the message and his friend's bizarre fear of confrontation, decided to include the message in the track. The language used is highly abrasive, with Francesco using a variety of insults, expressing both frustration and irrational anger. The message is filled with personal vitriol, reflecting Francesco's anger about being kicked out, but it also highlights the absurdity of the situation. The title, Message to Harry Manback, is actually a joke name inspired by comedian Bill Hicks, a close friend of Maynard. The use of the name Harry Manback makes it clear the song is not entirely meant to be taken seriously. Another possible meaning for Message to Harry Manback comes from its connection to another track on the album, Die Eier von Satan. These two songs work together to encourage listeners to read between the lines. In Message to Harry Manback, the man delivers an angry and hostile message, but the tone and music don't immediately convey the aggression. The message is spoken calmly and gently, with soft piano music playing in the background, making it sound more serene than it truly is. To a listener unfamiliar with Italian, the angry, vicious words might even sound romantic or gentle due to the musical atmosphere and the calm delivery, creating a stark contrast to the actual content. On the other hand, Die Eier von Satan features an eerie, mechanical soundscape, which, combined with the harsh-sounding German language, gives the song a menacing and satanic tone. However, in reality, the lyrics are just a simple cookie recipe, and the song's sinister tone is entirely created by the way it's presented. While Message to Harry Manback masks its anger with calmness, Die Eier von Satan does the opposite, using a dark sound to mask something harmless. Even though the Italian message in Harry Manback is full of English curses, the calm and quiet delivery makes it sound far less aggressive, inviting the listener to reconsider the surface-level interpretation of both songs. Tool uses these two tracks to challenge how easily perception can be manipulated and how our emotional response can be shaped by tone, context, and language. Tool is challenging the listener to go beyond the surface level of the song, urging them not to simply hear a bad song or a sinister message, but to look deeper and understand that the true meaning may lie beneath the obvious. In this sense, both tracks play with language, sound, and perception to make a point about interpretation and the complexity of communication. Hooker with a Penis is a song that critiques the hypocrisy and consumerism within the music industry, as well as the expectations and contradictions of both fans and artists. The song tells the story of a confrontation with a fan who accuses the band of selling out, despite not fully understanding the complexities of the industry's pressures and compromises. The lyrics point to the tension between authenticity and the commercialization of art. The speaker sarcastically addresses the fan's accusation, revealing that the band sold out long before they became famous, suggesting that the pursuit of success often requires compromising one's ideals. The line, "All you know about me is what I've sold you, dumb fuck," directly challenges the idea that people, especially fans, have a true understanding of the artists they idolize, and instead, are only exposed to a carefully crafted public persona. The recurring line, "Fuck you, buddy," is an expression of frustration toward the consumerist culture that consumes art and music, without acknowledging the sacrifices and compromises that come with creating and selling it. The song highlights how both the artist and the consumer are part of the same cycle of materialism. The band creates for profit, and the audience buys into the product, perpetuating the system. It serves as a sharp critique of those who judge artists for selling out without understanding the realities of the industry. It also speaks to how the consumers can be ignorant or disconnected from the deeper meaning behind the work, only focusing on the surface, the product itself, without engaging in the more profound aspects of the music or its message. It mirrors the disillusionment many artists feel about the music industry, where the act of creating art becomes overshadowed by commercialization and the exploitation of the very people who claim to love it. The title, Hooker with a Penis, is a provocative and satirical metaphor that captures the essence of the song's critique about consumerism, authenticity, and the commercialization of art. It is likely a deliberate exaggeration, meant to shock the listener and underscore the contradictions of the music industry and the relationship between artists and their audience. The hooker part of the title refers to someone who sells themselves for money, which in the context of the song reflects the idea that artists often compromise their true selves in order to make a living, or gain success in the industry. The phrase also plays with the idea of the artist only showing the surface level, what is sold to the audience, while keeping the deeper, truer self hidden. In essence, the artist, the hooker, gives you what you think you want, but the penis metaphor suggests that there's more beneath the surface, something the audience doesn't fully understand. Intermission is an instrumental track that features a playful, circus-like sound with no lyrics. The music is intentionally lighthearted, featuring wacky, almost carnival-style melodies that create a contrast to the heavier, more serious tracks in the album. The use of the electronic organ evokes a sense of irony and absurdity, almost as if the band is poking fun at the complex and sometimes dark themes explored throughout the album. This playful interlude serves as a breather between the deep and intense songs, offering a moment of lightness that contrasts with the weight of the other tracks. In a way, it could be interpreted as a satirical commentary on the absurdity of modern life, media, and even the music industry, like a circus that distracts and entertains while often masking deeper, more serious issues beneath the surface. Despite its seemingly frivolous nature, Intermission reflects Tool's ability to blend humor and depth, adding an element of unpredictability to the album. It encourages the listener to not take everything too seriously, offering a temporary reprieve before returning to the album's more profound and philosophical explorations. It also leads directly into the next song, Jimmy, where you realize that the same melody is being played but with a heavily distorted electric guitar. Jimmy is a deeply emotional song that reflects on the trauma and personal growth the singer experienced when his mother, Judith Marie Keenan, suffered a paralyzing subarachnoid hemorrhage due to a ruptured cerebral aneurysm in 1976, when Maynard James Keenan, born James Herbert Keenan, was 11 years old. The lyrics capture the overwhelming feelings of loss, confusion, and transition during this pivotal moment in his life. James, presumably called Jimmy as a child, was forced to confront the sudden and devastating loss of his mother's former self, her ability to speak, write, walk, and even recognize time. The song serves as an introspective exploration of that profound moment and its lasting impact on him. The first line, "What was it like to see the face of your own stability suddenly look away?" poignantly refers to how his mother's stroke disrupted the foundation of his emotional security. She was once the face of stability, but as her health deteriorated, that stability was lost. The dead and hopeless imagery evokes the profound emptiness and sense of helplessness that consumed the singer, as he confronted the painful truth that his mother, as he once knew her, was gone. This emotional shift is mirrored in the abrupt transition from the previous track, Intermission, to Jimmy, where the playful, childlike music is suddenly overtaken by heavily distorted guitar playing the same melody. This stark contrast symbolizes the profound shift in his life, marking the sudden move from childhood innocence to the heavy emotional burden of grief, and the swift onset of adulthood. The repeated reference to 11 represents both the age at which this trauma occurred and the turning point in Maynard's life. 11 is standing still, waiting for me. Hints at the emotional stasis Maynard experienced as he was forced to grow up too quickly. The innocence of childhood was stripped away, and he was left to navigate the profound changes in his life. The line, "waiting for me to free him, by coming home," suggests the desire for healing, with Maynard confronting the internalized struggle to find peace, forgiveness, and closure. He yearns for a return to innocence and wholeness, represented by coming home. The imagery of light, particularly "Hold Your Light 11, represents the strength and guidance that Maynard's mother, though physically diminished, still provided. Despite her incapacitation, her light, a metaphor for love, wisdom, and faith, remained with him. The singer wishes to follow this light, embracing the spiritual guidance she offered and finding solace in the memory of her presence. As the song progresses, it becomes clear that this light is the way toward personal growth, healing, and eventual reunification. The lines, "defending his light and wondering where the hell have I been, sleeping, lost and numb," signify the singer's self-reflection. His emotional numbness, a result of trauma, is being confronted and gradually healed. Maynard finally realizes that the pain and confusion from his past need to be faced in order to move forward in life. His ancient soul that carries him into the light symbolizes the enduring essence of his spirit that remains tethered to his mother's love and guidance, despite her physical absence. 11 represents the pivotal stage of awakening, the transition from childhood to adulthood. It embodies the cathartic moment when Maynard moves from confusion and grief to spiritual understanding and acceptance. The song's culmination, 1 and 1 are 111, suggests unity, both with his mother's memory and within himself. He has accepted the loss, reclaiming his personal power with his mother's spirit, love, and guidance, continuing to shine within him as he moves forward in life. Jimmy is a deeply introspective exploration of loss, growth, and healing. The song touches on the difficult process of reconciling with trauma while moving towards spiritual awakening. Maynard uses this track to reflect on the journey of turning grief into self-awareness and ultimately accepting the impermanence of life. The song is a tribute to his mother, acknowledging the light she imparted on him, which continues to guide him as he grows. Eier von Satan delivers a powerful message about perception, self-awareness, and questioning societal norms. The song's initially jarring, sinister-sounding German lyrics, which might resemble Nazi propaganda, are revealed to be a recipe for hash cookies, turning the expectations of listeners on their head. This is a clever commentary on how easily people can jump to conclusions based on surface-level information without questioning the deeper meaning behind things. The song challenges listeners to think for themselves and not fall prey to moral outrage without deeper reflection. Eier von Satan and Message to Harry Manback work together to encourage listeners to read between the lines and challenge their perceptions of meaning. While Message to Harry Manback delivers an angry, hostile message masked by calm, gentle piano music, Eier von Satan creates a menacing, eerie atmosphere with harsh-sounding German, but is, in reality, just a recipe for hash cookies. These two songs highlight the contrast between surface-level interpretations and the deeper meanings that lie beneath. By using tone, language, and context to manipulate the listener's emotional response, Tool invites us to question how easily we are influenced by external cues, urging us to dig deeper and understand that the true essence of a message may not always align with its initial presentation. Together, these tracks emphasize the importance of critical thinking and not taking things at face value, challenging the listener to reconsider their emotional reactions and interpretations of language and sound. In addition, Eier von Satan explores the idea of confronting one's own darkness or seeds of evil, the impulses and destructive tendencies within us. The title itself, meaning the eggs of Satan, can be interpreted as a metaphor for the negative, often unconscious aspects of the self that contribute to harmful cycles. The song asks whether, in the pursuit of self-improvement and growth, one should try to eliminate these darker traits, or if they are inextricable parts of human nature. Ultimately, the track encourages self-reflection, urging listeners to question not just external influences, but also their own internal struggles and contradictions. Pushit is a deeply emotional and complex exploration of inner conflict, self-doubt, and the destructive nature of toxic relationships. The lyrics convey the psychological struggle of a person caught in a dynamic where they feel emotionally smothered, manipulated, and overwhelmed by the demands of their partner. The repeated phrase "pushing and shoving me" symbolizes not only the external pressure from the partner but also the internal battle within the protagonist, who feels trapped between love and self-preservation. Central to the song's narrative is the metaphor of the gap, representing an emotional or psychological rift, either between the self and another person, or within the individual's own identity. This gap, described as potentially leading to mutual destruction, speaks to the dangerous consequences of unresolved inner turmoil and unhealthy relational dynamics. The lyrics reflect the protagonist's deep self-doubt, with lines like, "What is this but my reflection? Who am I to judge or strike you down?" The protagonist is grappling with their own identity and self-worth, questioning if their reactions to the relationship are valid or if they're simply projections of their inner chaos. It suggests internal conflict, with the singer questioning their own involvement and emotional damage in the cycle. The protagonist seems complicit in the toxic relationship, acknowledging their role in perpetuating the pain. The repeated refrain, "You still love me, but you didn't need to push it on me," captures the disconnect between genuine affection and the overbearing, suffocating nature of that love. It reflects the tension between feeling love but also feeling trapped by it when the expression of that love becomes abusive. Ultimately, Pushit portrays a toxic, codependent relationship where both parties are trapped in a cycle of pain, manipulation, and emotional conflict. The song doesn't clearly position the singer as either the abuser or the victim, but rather explores the devastating psychological toll that such relationships take on both individuals. The lyrics also touch on themes of self-sacrifice, emotional exhaustion, and the longing for peace, as expressed in "I'd trade it all for just a little peace of mind." The protagonist's desire for inner peace underscores the toll that living within these toxic dynamics takes on their well-being. Pushit thus becomes an exploration of the tension between attachment and self-preservation. It delves into the destructive impact of fear, emotional pressure, and boundarylessness in relationships, ultimately highlighting the realization that true healing and growth can only occur when one steps away from these harmful dynamics, even if it means enduring the painful process of separation. The song titled Cesaro Summability refers to a mathematical concept in series summation, which attempts to sum an infinite series in a way that may not traditionally converge, yet still arrives at a meaningful result within a broader context. This idea mirrors the human struggle to make sense of the overwhelming complexity of life, suggesting that even the chaos of existence can be reconciled and understood in some form. Much like Cesaro Summability in mathematics, the track symbolizes an attempt to create coherence from life's disorder and suffering. The crying baby at the beginning of the track is symbolic of birth, innocence, and the primal start of understanding. It evokes the raw vulnerability of human existence and the emotional chaos inherent in our lives. The baby's cries might also reflect humanity's existential suffering, a metaphorical expression of the human condition and the primal need for attention and meaning. The sound represents the beginning of a journey through confusion and complexity, much like the Cesaro Summability seeks to understand the infinite with simplicity. Additionally, the mysterious, almost unintelligible dialogue in an unknown language adds another layer of meaning. This dialogue, barely audible, suggests that there are deeper truths that remain elusive or difficult to grasp, echoing the frustrations we often face in our search for clarity and meaning. It underscores the notion that understanding the universe, much like the Cesaro Summability concept, is not only a cognitive pursuit but an emotional and spiritual one that is fraught with ambiguity and mystery. These sonic elements, the crying baby and the indecipherable dialogue, serve to enhance the sense of existential struggle, a struggle that is not only intellectual, as seen in the reference to Cesaro Summability, but deeply emotional and human. They create an atmosphere that invites the listener to explore the emotional and psychological underpinnings of the song's themes, reinforcing the idea that understanding the universe is not just a mental endeavor, but an emotional and spiritual journey that encompasses both chaos and clarity, birth and death, and communication and silence. Overall, this track could be suggesting that human life, like the Infinite series, either converges to a meaningful value or diverges infinitely without a clear meaning. The sum of life, like the Infinite series, can either have meaning or be meaningless, and this is determined by how one interprets the series of experiences in life. Ænima is a song that explores feelings of frustration, societal disillusionment, and a longing for dramatic change, particularly in a world that seems to be spiraling out of control. The lyrics criticize the superficial and materialistic nature of modern life, specifically referencing the culture of Los Angeles, often seen as a symbol of excess and hollow pursuits. The repeated imagery of Armageddon and the end of the world serves as a metaphor for a desire to rid society of its superficiality, artificial concerns, and destructive tendencies. The lines, "Learn to swim," "See you down in Arizona Bay," and the recurring calls for destruction and renewal suggest a longing for a cleansing, a fresh start where the chaos is washed away. Arizona Bay refers to a concept from comedian Bill Hicks, who imagined a catastrophic event that would allow California to fall into the ocean, providing an escape from the societal mess that often seems overwhelming. The song also references cynicism and rebellion, as seen in the rejection of established systems, from organized religions like Scientology to mainstream pop culture icons, implying a need for individual awakening and critical thinking. The repeated use of "learn to swim" seems to evoke the idea of survival and adaptation amidst societal collapse, calling listeners to not just passively endure, but to actively embrace change and clear away all the shit, like an enema, and flow with the currents of life. Ultimately, Ænima is about catharsis, the release of pent-up anger and the need to destroy the artificial structures in society that hinder true growth and consciousness, all while challenging listeners to seek deeper meaning beyond the chaos. Negative Ions is an instrumental track that stands apart with its atmospheric sound design. Rather than relying on traditional instruments, the song is driven by ambient textures that evoke the feeling of raw, natural forces, particularly wind, thunder, and electricity. The track begins with a low, howling, wind-like sound that gradually intensifies, creating a sense of uncontrollable energy and building tension. The sound grows progressively louder and more intense, mimicking the feeling of a storm or cosmic force gathering strength. This is further enhanced by electrical-like noises created by a Jacob's ladder, a device with two long wires which arc electricity between each other. Listening with headphones, the electrical noises move from left ear to right ear, creating a stereo experience of electricity or energy pulsating through the listener's head, as if traveling through the air, drawing attention to the movement and flux of energy. This dynamic flow of sound could be interpreted as a representation of transformation or the cathartic release of energy, much like the emotional and spiritual purging and renewal that Tool often explores in their work. In the context of the Ænima album, which deals with themes of catharsis, awakening, and personal transformation. Ions serves as an auditory metaphor for the unseen forces of change, energy flow, and the constant movement of life itself. The raw, elemental sounds give the track an intangible, primal quality, encouraging the listener to feel rather than think, allowing for a deeper, more visceral experience. The lack of traditional instruments and the use of purely atmospheric sounds creates a powerful moment of sonic immersion, emphasizing the connection between sound, energy, and the forces that shape both the inner and outer world.
Because you know what? The musicians who made all that great music that's enhanced your lives throughout the years, real fucking high on drugs.
Third Eye explores the complex process of spiritual awakening, self-discovery, and the expansion of consciousness. The song revolves around the metaphor of opening the third eye, which represents the awakening of higher perception and awareness. The lyrics describe the internal journey of shedding illusions and confronting deeper truths, symbolized by encounters with a face with 3 warm and wild eyes. This face is often interpreted as a manifestation of higher consciousness, the self, or divine presence, guiding the narrator through their personal transformation. The 3 eyes may symbolize different levels of awareness or a deeper understanding of the mind, body, and soul. The opening quote by comedian Bill Hicks, "Drugs have done some good things for us," introduces the idea that mind-altering substances can sometimes serve as tools for spiritual enlightenment, expanding perception, and allowing individuals to access greater truths. As the narrator moves through the experience, they describe the struggle to see beyond their current understanding, symbolized by the withered eye, suggesting a purification or cleansing of perception. The lyrics describe the process of confronting the darkness within, represented by the shadow, and the cyclical nature of this transformation, as the narrator tumbles down the hole, only to rise again, symbolizing the ongoing nature of spiritual growth. The repeated line, "prying open my third eye," emphasizes the persistence required in the journey toward enlightenment. The third eye is often associated with the pineal gland, which is considered the seat of intuition and spiritual insight. The song suggests that this awakening is a continuous effort, requiring introspection and self-confrontation to break through the layers of ignorance and illusion that veil deeper truths. The theme of "Life is but a dream" points to the impermanence of reality, encouraging the listener to look beyond the material world and to open their consciousness to the greater spiritual reality. In summary, Third Eye is a profound exploration of spiritual awakening, where the narrator moves through self-discovery, confronting internal darkness, and gaining access to a higher state of awareness. Through the imagery of the third eye, the song highlights the process of expanding consciousness, the dissolution of ego, and the quest for truth. Ultimately, it is a meditation on the human journey of breaking through illusions, embracing spiritual insight, and seeking a deeper connection with oneself and the universe. Additionally, Tool's repeated chanting of the phrase, "prying open my third eye," at the end of the song, can be seen as a deliberate method to influence the listener's subconscious awareness. By continuously repeating this phrase, Tool employs a form of sonic manipulation, subtly embedding spiritual concepts and encouraging a heightened state of consciousness. The repetition gives the phrase a sense of urgency, almost like a mantra or chant, urging the listener to awaken to deeper truths and break through mental and emotional barriers. This technique of repetition serves as a way to guide listeners toward spiritual awareness, even if they aren't actively aware of the shift occurring. The band uses this approach to nudge the listener into exploring their own spiritual dimensions, potentially planting seeds for further self-discovery. Tool's use of affirmations and repetition is an intentional push toward transformation, encouraging the audience to experience the awakening described in the song, whether they recognize it consciously or not. In conclusion, Ænima is not just an album, it's a journey of spiritual and psychological awakening. The title itself, a brilliant fusion of Ænima and Ænema, encapsulates the album's core themes of integration and cleansing. From the shadow work explored in Third Eye and 46-2, where we confront and integrate the darker unconscious parts of ourselves, to the purging process symbolized by tracks like Ænima and Pushit, the album is a cathartic experience. Each song is a step towards confronting the toxic patterns we cling to and breaking free from the suffocating limitations of the past. Tool masterfully guides us through the painful yet necessary process of self-purification, shedding illusions, breaking free from ego, and embracing the deeper truths within. This album challenges us to purge the mental and emotional clutter that holds us back, and, in doing so, opens the path to a more authentic, integrated self. Ænima asks us to dive deep, face the chaos within, and emerge transformed, cleansed and reborn, ready to truly live. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video and joining us on this journey of exploring the deeper meanings of Tool's Ænima album. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Please leave a comment below and share what you think about the analysis. Do you have any personal reflections on the songs or insights into their meanings that you'd like to add? Or perhaps you have other albums in mind that you'd like us to dive into? We're always open to exploring new ideas. If this content resonates with you, please consider subscribing to the channel. This space is dedicated to exploring consciousness, spiritual growth, and many other topics related to the deeper layers of existence. We're trying to grow, and your subscription would help the channel tremendously, allowing us to dedicate more time to creating more videos like this one, and bringing you more meaningful content. Thank you again for your time, and for being part of this community. Remember, we are all one, and the journey of spiritual awakening is one we share together. See you in the next video.